while I'm on the topic of Derrick Rose's injury and how he may be injury prone and how we may see one of the best players of this era get changed permanently by his injuries, I thought I'd talk about just how debilitating injuries can be for these players in the NBA and what it means to them personally and what it means to us being fans. Um, just this year, we had two of our top rookies go down. Jabari Parker with the ACL injury. When he was just starting to shine, he was starting to show that he could score in so many ways and that he had a really reliable mid-range jump shot. He's going to be an amazing player in this league, and I hope he fully recovers from that. But the ACL, that is a terrible injury, and there's no way to know how some people will recover from that. Some people recover fully. Some people never look the same. So I really hope the best for him. And then Julius Randle, so early in this season, went down with a pretty terrible fractured tibia injury that looked gruesome. We all hurt when we saw that. And then, probably the most notable injury this year that everybody's forgotten about by this point is Paul George with that freak accident at the USA men's basketball scrimmage. That was one of the most shocking things that we've ever seen, and it just reminds us that being able to be on our feet and being able to play the game should not be taken for granted, because Paul George, he is the next superstar in this league. He is so amazing on both ends of the court, and his offensive game is just going to get better. Now, one of my favorite players that a lot of people may not be aware is down right now is Nate Robinson. He went down with an ACL injury, and this is the only 3-time dunk contest winner in NBA history. This guy is 5'8". He lists himself at 5'9", but he's a beast. He's built. He's 185, and he could jump out of the gym. And there was one game this season against the Lakers where he clowned them. He had about 3 dunks in just one game, which is ridiculous for a guy of that size. And he may not have been a starter. He may not be a franchise player. He may have been shopped around the league a lot. But he's somebody that is just so fun to watch him play, because for those 10 minutes, 15 minutes a game he gets, he really likes to put on a show. And it's very sad for me to see him go down with an ACL injury. And you can actually check out how he's doing by checking out his own YouTube channel and his series State of Nate, which is very cool. And oftentimes you will see stand-ins from another great little NBA guy, Isaiah Thomas. And then obviously D-Rose is out again. We can't take this as fans. This is one of our favorite guys to watch. It's terrible to see him be out. And from some of the interviews he's given, you know just how emotional this is. Like, these guys have put their life into playing this game. Sure, they may be making $20 million a year, but that doesn't mean that it's easy emotionally, even when they're healthy. And so when they're out, it's very difficult for them, and I really feel for that. And then last year, the Nuggets were really stifled by losing Danilo Gallinari to an ACL injury, and Kobe having the host of injuries that he's had, having that Achilles tear, which I've heard is a really frightening injury. That's a very big part of your body to tear, and very important. And, we're all wondering, Kobe, when are you going to retire? How many more years in this league can you play? And this year what we've seen from him is he has lost a step. He's lost some of his vertical. He's lost some of his playmaking ability. So I wish him the best. But going back further, there's so many people who, kind of like Grant Hill, dubbed the heir to MJ. People who we expected to have such great careers in the NBA and who were permanently changed. So I'm just going to list some of them. So there was Grant Hill. There was Gilbert Arenas. And some of you may not realize, this man's only 33. And I'm fairly sure his last season in the NBA was at age 30. And now he's playing overseas, if he's playing at all. And he showed that he could be one of the top dominant scoring point guards, scoring 30 points a game on a consistent basis, scoring 50 if he wanted to. And, he didn't go down due to an ACL, but it was just a plague of injuries, many different injuries. And T-Mac, boy, what would he have been? He was a beast. And he's just now retired, I think last season. I think he finally got a ring with the San Antonio Spurs, which he deserved very much, but he would have been a beast. He would have been dropping 30 points a game, for multiple seasons of his career without all those injuries. Then we've got a guy still in the league who generates quite a lot of buzz, Amari Stoudemire. A lot of Knicks fans feel that he let them down, but I can guarantee you guys, he was doing his best. Being a big man, having a 6'10 frame, it's very difficult to deal with injuries when you're that long, when you're that lanky. The human body was really rarely made to be that big, and it's very difficult to keep up. Then another guy that really shows how height is very difficult to handle, Yao Ming. A guy that's 7'6", who had great hands, great touch. He had a jumper. He had an amazing hook. You can see some of his videos on YouTube where he will go 20 for 20 practicing hook shots. He was an amazing talent. I think he only ended up being able to play in the league for 8 years, or maybe it was 7 years, but if you listen to what Shaq says about this guy, Shaq had so much respect for him. They were two dominant big men. And of course, we know that Yao had the foot injuries, and whenever we see a big man with a foot injury, we're scared. We're scared that they're going to be changed forever. Then another guy, Sean Livingston, who was going to change the point guard position, being 6'7", having that great court vision. We've seen his post game and how he is a really, really great piece on teams. A couple years ago or last year with the Nets, and then this year with the Warriors. He's an amazing player, and he made a really great recovery from his terrifying injury, and it's great to see him doing well in this league. And then I'm going to throw out a name that a lot of you may not know dealt with a lot of injuries over his career. Shaquille O'Neal, Shaq, the Diesel, the Big Aristotle, the Shaqtus. I just recently read his autobiography, which is a great read. You guys should all pick it up. It's called Shaq Uncut. And he's a funny guy. You get to see into his childhood, see into his background, learn that he didn't dunk for the first time until he was 6'11", and already almost done with high school because he was scared. Who would believe that? But anyway, Shaq was a guy that he just dealt with his injuries silently, quietly. He wanted to go out every night and dominate, putting up numbers of 32 and 12 on a nightly basis. And towards the end of his career, he would have been a beast, even in the days with Miami, where he did get that chip, and then even after that in the days with Phoenix. Who knows how good he would have been, but he had, I believe he had a toe injury that plagued him for many years, and these guys, they will just play through their injuries, and then they get worse and worse and worse until they might not be able to fix them. So, that's something that's so crazy for these guys, franchise players, or players who are just trying to make their mark, is that something that I would never do to myself. They will play years on their injuries. Like this year, we have seen, sorry, I'm forgetting his name right now, LaMarcus Aldridge, the huge LaMarcus Aldridge, who has one of the best mid-range games in this NBA. He's put off operation on his right hand, on his shooting hand, and personally I think that's a mistake. I know he wants to support the Portland Trailblazers, and they can make a great run into this postseason, but I hope that's an injury that does not get worse on him. And, so these guys, they play through their injuries, and their injuries get worse, and they might be sacrificing something later down the line. If you look at Kenny the Jet Smith, the way he walks on Inside the NBA, the way his knees are turned in, these guys, they've all sacrificed their bodies to play this game. And what a lot of people do not realize about the NBA, people look at it nowadays and they say, oh, compared to the 80s, compared to the 90s, it's so soft. And yes, some of the rules have changed. There is a different treatment for the superstars. But we cannot forget, all of us lowly, small people, that these are 7-foot giants. The average height in that league is 6'6", 6'8". People are rarely that big. And when you have people who are 6'8", 6'10", 7 feet tall, 250 pounds running full speed at you, any sort of contacts, even if it looks small to us, that's a lot of contact. That's a lot of momentum. Imagine if you were there taking that. You'd be down on the ground. So these guys take a beating, and basketball is an incredibly hard sport to play and stay healthy in. I'm only 22 years old. I'm injured right now. I'm on crutches. I just got off of them yesterday, and I'm working my way off of them. I feel like I spend as much time playing, as much time dealing with my body and my pains after playing as I spend playing. I'm 22 years old, and this year for Christmas, all I asked for was ice packs, compression back wraps, compression knee wraps, knee pads, hip pads. It's very difficult to keep yourself healthy playing this game. There's a lot of lateral pressures that you're putting on your legs that are not natural because you're wearing hyper sticky shoes on a sticky court surface, and that is a lot of pressure to be putting on your body. Running full speed, making cuts, jumping. This is a jumping sport that has an incredible impact on your knees and on your back. And while I'm talking about that, a guy that we've seen fall off but that could dominate this league, Dwight Howard, with that back injury. I feel for you, brother. Steve Nash with that back injury. I feel for you. I have chronic back pain every day of my life. And every time I play, jumping around within 10 minutes, that back's on fire. But I'm only 22 years old. And I'm not doing it professionally. It is not my job. So for these guys to be putting their bodies through that, there are trade-offs. And we've all seen the Derrick Rose commentary, the interview where he said, I'm looking out for my body down the line so I can walk my son at his graduation. And these are things that he's been criticized for. And I understand why people would criticize him about that. But seriously, these guys put themselves through a lot. And every injury that they suffer, not only is it difficult on your body, not only is it difficult for your team, for your franchise, but at the heart, it hurts you personally at the heart. And I do hurt when I see these guys out. When I heard and saw what happened to Paul George, my instant reaction was tears. I could not believe I had just seen that happen to a guy that I feel so endeared to because of what he does in this league. And, us fans, players, young people, people in high school, people in college, we really do care. And, of course, we want to see our teams winning. But what we should all want to see is see the players that make the league what it is, that make it so special. We want to see them healthy at all times. And, we should really let these guys hear it. People who fight through injuries, people who don't report their injuries and play through them, they all deserve a lot of respect. And you guys make our lives so much better just every time we see you play, because it's so exciting and it brings us together as fans. And it really makes your day seeing what these NBA players can do on the court. So, we can all be critical of NBA players and their injuries, and we can want them to return, but let's all remember to support these guys that make this game so great.